Yes, guys, and a welcome from me. This is Championship Manager 0102, The World King, Part 22. Do you know what, right? We have really hammered some sessions out. And when I say hammered some sessions out, they're not necessarily long sessions, but the hour here and there, right, has really mounted up. And you'll see that by where we're at. We are now well into season 28. Yes, 28. And it was a fun day yesterday. We had, what did we do? We did a couple of hours in the afternoon, then we did another cheeky 90 minutes last night. So well over 3 hours yesterday in total. And it's moved us on really nicely. Let me remind you, we've both completed the World King Tour now. I did mine within 24 seasons. Matt did his within 2 seasons later. And it's all about roots. It's all about roots. Matt then, Marseille. As I said, well into season 28 now, and that's Matt's status in France. But to be honest with you, he'll be disgusted of himself. Actually, didn't realise he'd lost the game. When did he lose that? Oh, yeah, I do remember actually. He had a man sent off. Yeah. So what he'll be disgusted about is how last season finished. He finished 4th last season, and it was top 3 for Champions League. And I think it was tough for Matt because he went to Marseille. Let me remind you, Marseille are the richest team in the world. I say were, I say are, they possibly were, I don't know what the situation is now, with over £2 billion. Matt had clearly said, when we spoke about roots, once we did our challenge, Matt said either Newcastle, my ex-team, Marseille or Bayern Munich. Or Marseille came available and he took them. Now, he didn't get his signings last season until January. Let me just remind myself now that when he took over, let's just have a look at him. Let me remind you that Matt and myself are 84 years of age. How do you like that? And let's just have a look at jobs. So he took over on the 28th of September. So he hadn't even started the new season with Western United. But the most important thing is that he completed it thoroughly in Australia. Now remember, when I left, when I completed mine, I went to Sporting first as a bit of a stopgap. Matt possibly was looking at the same thing, but Marseille was one of those, those lucky 3 teams. But last season it was a tough old season for him in respect of making the top, winning the title. He'd probably been hoping that he could have made an assault on the title, but it wasn't to be. 7 signings for this season then, as I feel he'll win the French league this season. Vera. Lassig, great goalkeeper. There is one particular player now. Kroon's a great player. Yeah, Kroon's solid. Polly, great player. Rogers, yeah. And it's Dago, who I believe is Lukaku regen. Now, I think Matt inherited him at Genk. He did. So, he's got the credentials now. Let's have a look at his finances. So, 1.48 billion. Obviously, like we all do this, when we want to get a player and they're not interested in you, you top up the signing on fee. And he's had to do that. So he's spent a fucking fortune. Absolute fortune. Let me just... so 321 million. Let's have a look at the players. There you see, he took over and you see from here, so 46... Yeah, so roughly about another 340 odd million pounds there, maybe more. So Philippe's a great player. I had him at Sporting. Peters, he's not that great. Sosa's superb. Piera's pretty decent. Mayer's done shit, hasn't he? He really has. He really went to town and he spent an absolute fortune. But he is riding high this season. And it's all about this season, really. He's still going well in the Europa League. Of course, he qualified for the Europa League. He's just advanced to the 4th round. Last season, he did win the Cup. He did win the Cup last season, beating PSG in the final, but went out in the Europa League semi-final. It's all about the league this season for him. Is this a route still for Matt? I don't know. I honestly don't know. In fact, who am I kidding? It's not, because I know Matt went for a job and didn't get it. And it was a shock, really, to the system. He went for Bayern Munich, and the timing of Bayern Munich was perfect. I think it was the end of July, And it wasn't to be. It really wasn't to be. They didn't offer him it. So he's at Marseille. It's possibly because he didn't make the top 3 last season. He's not in the Champions League. Who knows? We'll probably never know. Okay, so Matt, I feel that's what is going to be the situation. He'll finish the season and then he'll reassess where we're at. For me, then, our roots continues at Borussia Dortmund, where we have now claimed back-to-back titles. We've done it the hard way. We have done it the hard way. Last season, of course, we had the Champions League run as well, which we were knocked out of. We were knocked out of in the quarterfinals. Now, I've got to be honest, we must have all done this. So we beat Arsenal in the quarterfinal first leg, and then the second leg, we lost 5-2. And it weren't until after, right, that I realised I forgot to put a defender back in. We must have all done that, and I was so angry at myself because the defender that I meant to take out was Perrin, and as you can see, Perrin got me a fucking 5. So this season, we're looking to make it a hat-trick, but we want to really have a good run in the Champions League. We did lose the Charity Shield, if you want to call it that, on penalties to Werder Bremen. But I'll tell you what, right, we've brought some absolute fucking monsters. Now, let me remind you that we've got the biggest stadium in the world. So we're at 1.48 billion, 1.27 to spend, and we spent an absolute fortune. It's more than what you read right there, because some of those deals have got 30 million after X amount of appearances international. There you see our second season with Borussia Dortmund, 364, 288 in season 1. But I've got to show you some of these signings. This was our last signing, Moshood. More about Nigeria in a moment. We've got a little story on them. This guy, we got him on a Bosman. Not sure who he is, but great player. Omar Ali. I think you can work out who Omar Ali is. That is Salah regen. Still only 19 years of age with the world at his feet. We've got Gorka Herrera. Now, can anybody guess who Gorka Herrera is a regen of? You're all looking at his nationality now and thinking, not a fucking clue. Matt didn't have a clue either. Matt was tracking him when I bought him, but I was tracking him for a reason. And the reason being, because the balance, bravery, flair was exactly as was his foot, as was his position, as was his second nationality, which was Spanish. That is Yamel. Believe it or not, that is actually Yamel. Because I was tracking him from the moment go, and he was one of the last players actually retire in the game, as you can imagine, because he's very young when the game starts. That's not all. That is not all. We brought in Diop. Diop's a great player, but he hasn't really had a fair run at the minute. Kuzman's getting better and better as a goalkeeper. Gonzalez, not sure who he is, but let me remind you now, we've got some... we've got this guy now. You're all going to know who that guy is. Of course you know who that guy is. That is a Haaland regen. We have also got Pianetti. That is a KDB regen. We have got Lopez, Uruguayan striker. Well, that can only be one Uruguayan striker. That is Suarez. And we've also got, and I've missed, we've got Tokic, which is Modric regen. And I've missed a player now. I've lost a player. Marin, there we go. And of course, an Argentine. Forward, right, centre. Either foot, of course, that is Messi regen. We've got ourselves quite the fucking squad. I want to show you that guy very, very quickly because Castro, I was at Sporting and he got promoted from the youth academy, as you can tell. And I said to Matt, look at this for a player. And he did really well for me in the season. I wouldn't normally play a real youngster like that, but he is fucking great. He's really, really great for me. And, you know, we've got ourselves quite the fucking setup. We really have. And this season we'll hopefully go all the way in the league especially. The league is always paramount. Now, going back to Bayern Munich, yes, and Matt went for Bayern Munich. And before, right, ignore that bottom deal there, right? Ignore both these bottom deals, right? Ignore both these bottom deals here. They'd already bought all those players. Rafelson for £181 million they spent out. So when Matt had applied, I said to Matt, I went, fuck me, you're going to apply, because he said about he was debating. I went, you are not debating, you are applying, you're going to get it, then you're going to get another 7 signings. And then he didn't get it, and believe it or not, the man that did get it is Sven Botman. We all know who Sven Botman is, of course. And then gone straight out and spent an additional 161 million. I actually didn't realise he got that Dressel on deadline day. So if they do come available, there's no doubt Matt will go for them. I mean, look how much money they've spent, and that's without Matt. In terms of what they've got in the bank, let's have a look. 1.32 billion. Yeah, okay, so they've still got a huge amount. So that is where we're at. Now, let me tell you about Nigeria. Let me tell you about Nigeria. First things first, let's have a look at the... so Germany is as is, Matt is as is, but more importantly, overall, Matt is world class. This is why I didn't understand why he didn't get that Bayern Munich job, and I'm only superb. Now, you must ask yourself, why am I only superb? I'd like to know myself, to be honest with you, why I'm only superb. So we took over Nigeria, right? We all know that the international jobs, particularly in African nations, is flawed. We took over shortly after they qualified for the World Cup. They sacked their manager and after the qualifying. So I thought to myself, do you know what? I'm going to take the job. We're going to the World Cup. But before the World Cup, we had the African nations. And the African nations, you can see we stormed to victory. I resigned right after the African nations because our reputation went down to very good. I could not believe it had gone down to very good. And I said, it's got to be Nigeria. Fuck this shit. I didn't even play the World Cup. And you can tell that by the formations that they played. And I'll show you the formation in the final of the African nation. We played Cameroon twice. Although, yeah, that was a bit of a dodgy game, wasn't it? Dodgy game. But we, and I brought my shoe because he did so well for me with Nigeria. So what the fuck happened there, I don't know. So will we return to international management? More than likely, but it won't be with someone like Nigeria. It's always been flawed, and I just didn't see that coming on the reputation. It was absolutely fucked. It really was. The last thing I just want to check there. Let's just go back to that. Let's just go back to points a minute. Yeah, alright, okay. Not of interest. All names, that's what I want to check. Okay. Interesting, isn't it? I always like to look at random things. So that's where we're at then, guys. We are both 84 years of age. We're going to be 85 very soon as we come to the halfway stage of season 28 on this game. And we carry on. Till next time from me, guys, take it easy.